Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In the last video, we saw how to create a button and execute a Python function in Odoo. In today's video, I am going to show you how to override the create method in Odoo using Python. This is very useful when you want to customize what happens when a record is created. The end goal of today's video is to add such a functionality in our student.student model so that whenever we create a new student, we can check if the student ID of the newly created student is unique or not. If it's not unique, that means if it matches to the other existing student's student ID, we will raise a validation error to let the user know that the student he or she is going to create contains such a student ID which already exists in the database. But before that, we have to know what is the create method. Well, in Odoo, the create method is called whenever a new record is added to a model. You can override it to add custom logic like setting default values, validating data, or triggering other actions. So first of all, go to our student.student model, which resides in the student.py file. And inside the model, at the very last position, we will override the create method. But before that, we have to import something here, which is API from Odoo. From Odoo, besides fields and models, we have to import API. This API is basically a decorator. Not directly a decorator. Inside this API, there's a model which is a decorator. And we have to use this decorator to override our create method. Now define the create method, which takes the self as the first parameter and the second one is vals. But what is this vals here? Well, vals is nothing but a Python dictionary that contains all the field values submitted when the record is being created. Modifying this vals lets you change or add values before the record gets saved. Now let's see what does this vals contain actually. Let's print these vals and let's see in the console. Well, now save and reload our server. And now upgrade our module. Well, now create a new student. Name the student as test and pass the student ID as ST007. Let's save it and we will be getting an error, hopefully. Yes. So what happens here? The problem is whenever we're overriding a method like this create method, we have to return something from here. And what is that? We have to return the result of calling the super classes create method. Super dot create and pass this vals here. Now save and reload, close it and upgrade our module again. Now create a new record, test3 st008, and let's save it. Now whenever we click on the save icon here, our create method got called and this print statement worked. So let's see what is this vals. What does it contain? You can clearly see that this is nothing but a dictionary which is containing the fields, all the fields and their respective values. When we created this record, we passed the name as test3 and the student ID as ST008. If you see here, then you will see that the name is test3 and the student ID is student_ID. So we can understand from here that if we want to get access the field values which we are passing here in the moment of creating this record, we have to use this vals. Now let's start coding the other parts. What is the agenda of our today's video? Well, we want to add such a functionality in our student.student model so that whenever we create a new student, we can check if the student ID of the newly created student is unique or not. If it's not unique, we want to raise a validation error to let the user know that this user with this student with this particular student ID already exists in the database. So now what we have to do? We have to check the student ID of this newly created record, and we have to compare this student_ID or the value of this student_ID field with all the other existing records in the database. But how do we get access to all the records of our database? Let's delete these newly created records first. At this very moment, we have these 3 records in our database inside our student.student model. But how do we get access all these 3 records? Well, for that we have to use a built-in object which is request. Let's import that from odoo.http request. Inside this object there is a dictionary named env, request.env. This env is such a dictionary which contains the reference of all the models in our database. So I want to refer to our student.student model. Pass the name of our model as a string inside this env dictionary as a key, and on this reference object we have to call the search method and pass a empty list. By writing this statement or line of code, we have got access all the 3 existing records in our student.student model. Now store this record set in a variable named existing students. Now let's print this existing students variable and let's see what we can see in the console. Let's save and reload the server and upgrade our module now. Well, it's upgraded. Now let's create a new student here. Test ST00 let's say 9, and if we click on the save icon, the create method will get called and our print statement will print the result of the existing students. So if we click here, let's click and go to our console. See, we have got 3 records here. We have got 3 student.student objects and the ID of them are 2, 4 and 5. If we go to here, student models preview, these are the 3 existing records. Go to one of them. This is the ID, which is 2, then 4 and then 5, and the last one is this test which we have created a few moments ago. So we have got access all the records, existing students in our database. Now I want to loop through this existing students record set. For a student in existing students, and as these three students are a student model subject, we can get access all the field inside this student. Like we can check the condition, we can write the condition like this: if a student dot student underscore id, which is this field, is equal to our vals, which is a dictionary, we can call the get method on it and pass the student id. So what is happening here? This student id is the student id of the other existing student records, and this vals is nothing but a Python dictionary which contains the field values of the newly created student. So in that vals we can get access the student id of the newly created student. So we're just comparing that student id with all the other students student id, and we're saying that if there's a match, then this is not a unique student with a unique student id. So now we want to raise a validation error. So to raise a validation error, we have to import another class from Odoo.exceptions, which is validation error. Validation error. And we simply have to instantiate this class with the error message. So let's pass a message like a student with this student id already exists. And if we do that, the student with the duplicate student id is not going to be created. Okay, and we will get the validation error. So let's save and reload the server again and upgrade our module. Now let's create another student with the existing student id. Let's create a student with the student id of st003. Let's see what happens. Test 7 st003, and now if we click on this save manually button, let's see what happens, whether we get the validation error or not. We should get the validation error because this id already exists in our database. So let's click on this. Connection lost. What happens? Well, we got the validation error. A student with this student id already exists. Let's create another student. So we cannot create that because the student id is already existing. So let's create a student with a unique student id st0011. Save it. So it's created successfully. Now create another student with another existing student id test9 with a student id st001, and if we now save it, see, we got the validation error with that message that we passed inside this validation error class in here. Okay, a student with this student id already exists. So that's it. We're done for today. But let's say we don't have a student ID here. Then what will happen? Well, this is created successfully. So why this is happening? Well, it is happening because when we don't have any student ID is there, then we're simply getting false there, and false is not get matched with any other existing student records in our student.student module. So that's why this condition is evaluating as false. So the record is getting created successfully. So what we have to do here, we have to make this student ID field as required, so that user must fill this field whenever, must fill this student ID field whenever he or she want to create a student. So pass a required equals true argument here, keyword argument here. Let's save and reload it. Now upgrade our module. Well, now create a new student, test 12, but without the student ID. Now let's save this. See, we have got another error, which is invalid fields student ID. So this is basically a required field now. So we have to pass this student ID field. Now we have to fill this field now. So st001 again, which is a duplicate ID. Let's save it, and we got the validation error. A student with this student ID already exists. Let's close it and pass an unique ID here, like 14. And if we save this, let's see. This is created successfully. So we're done today, but before that, you always have to be careful when overriding some core methods like this create method. This is a built-in method in our models.model class, which we are inheriting here whenever we are creating a new model. So be careful about that. Always call super. Well, always call super method to avoid breaking Odoo's flow. So also don't override just for fun. Only when you really need to customize something, then try to customize this, try to override these core methods. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more Odoo development tutorials. Comment below if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos. I will see you in the next time. Thank you.